know once you start, there's no going back. This means total commitment. Once you begin the path, there is no leaving the path. Are you sure you're ready for that?
Alright, so let's get into some introverted shit. Because a lot of us are introverts and we don't even really identify with it and we don't really know it. A lot of us are cosmic reporters and we here to give the reports sent down through us from the cosmos. We here to ground some of this energy and, lock it in on this planet. And that could be through a lot of different ways, you know what I mean? You might be a musician, you might be a rapper, you might be an artist that like to draw art, you might be a poet, you might be a motivational speaker, so on and so on. And the thing is, you're not going to be able to get a clear channel and give a good report and see a direct reflection of yourself, your soul, and things like that until you sit back and get that time of solitude, get that time of silence, get that time of recharging. I didn't really understand what introversion truly was. And it's a bit deeper for a lot of us. A lot of us are just born shamans and born mystics and born as just old souls. So we need that time alone. Here on Earth, they call it introversion. They call it being introverted. So I'm going to just speak in those terms, but you know what I mean. So as an introvert, we have to understand that we have to be the ones to set boundaries. We need our time alone. We need silence. We need our space. And we need to cultivate some form of routine that's intentional for ourselves. And when I say that, I say it from a place of being introverted and not truly understanding it and not truly knowing it, because I used to have so many people around me, be a part of so many basketball teams and so many events to where I'm just constantly interacting with people, constantly allowing people into my space. And I would always have this nudge to get away. I would always have this craving of, just solitude. And just some time to recharge. Because like I said, we constantly being sent messages from our soul, messages from the cosmos, messages from whatever you believe in, God, your source, your savior, whatever the case may be. You are an instrument, and an instrument always need to be fine-tuned. An instrument always need to have a time where it's cleaned and where it's, just refined so that it gives off a good signal, it gives off a good tune. So when you're not aware that you're an introvert, when you're not aware that you need time to yourself, when you're not aware that you're a cosmic reporter, and we all are cosmic reporters, we all have a unique path, we all, even extroverts, we all have a mission that we on, and we all have a tune to play. Like they say, this the universe, so we are part of the verse. We have a certain key that we need to play, but we can't play the key on a high octave because we constantly entangle with other energies. And this is what I learned along the way. And this is just me learning this, finally being able to have time and long periods of time to myself and realize the benefits of it and realize how, how much of a necessity that it is. So the challenging thing is we live in a world, we live in a society, we live in a culture where it's all about mingling, it's all about socializing, it's all about networking. And especially the times we live in now, a lot of people traumatized, a lot of people, the last thing they want to do is spend time with themselves. The last thing they want to do is look in the mirror. The last thing they want to do is have to hear their own thoughts or feel their own feelings. So a lot of people, in the name of socializing, under the disguise of friendship and relationships and networking and things like that, or even just working 9 to 5 jobs or whatever the case, and just staying busy, they use that to, stay away from themselves. So as an introvert, as a cosmic reporter, as a mystic, or whatever you identify with, you're going to have to take the initiative to set boundaries. You're going to have to take the initiative to get that solitude. And sometimes we live a life where we got family life, where we got work life, where we got obligations and places we have to be. So it's going to be important that you're able to be aware of the times when you need to duck off and when you can duck off and get that time, because it's very critical, it's very vital. Because like I said, when you're not recharged, you'll find yourself being more grumpy. You'll find yourself being less attentive to your chores or your obligations, or just even listening to others and having space to hear them out, or having space to help them. You feel what I'm saying? But you gotta put yourself first, and that's one of the hardest things as an introvert, because a lot of times we fall to the pressure of the world, we fall to the pressure of our relationships, our obligations, and our responsibilities, and we put those things above the biggest responsibility, which is our vitality. I hope I'm saying that word right, but just refreshing, refining, getting that time so you can recharge. And you pick up little tools along the way how to do it. Sometimes it's just sitting in the car for 10 minutes. Sometimes it's meditating. Sometimes, I like to take salt baths. I like to go on walks. I like to exercise. Sometimes, just playing your favorite sport, listening to your favorite music. But it has to be intentional. It has to be a time where you set aside for yourself. And feed this craving that you got. And not neglect it, or not allow yourself to feel weird because everybody else seems to be able to go a million miles per hour at socializing, or be a million miles per hour at just talking, or whatever the case may be, and just interacting. And that's how I felt for me. I just felt like, damn, I'm the weird one. I'll be out at the biggest event in the world. This could be celebrities there, whatever the case may be, and I'm ready to go home before I even get there. I dread going there. You get what I'm saying? And I know a lot of y'all could resonate with what I'm saying. So you can't fight that. You have to be able to cultivate a relationship with those urges, because those urges are a direct reflection of what your soul is asking you to do and what your soul needs. And most importantly, it's navigating you and pushing you into a direction so you could be at the highest frequency possible, at the highest vibration possible, to do what you need to do, to be what you need to be on your path, on your mission. And it's really truly nothing more important than that. Everything else is secondary. Though we love to push something out in front of that. Though we love to push love out in front of that. We love to push relationships and obligations, and even being parents and things like that. It's your responsibility to, like I said, and it's hard. It's a hard lesson to learn to have to set boundaries. Like I said, you sometimes you just don't want to feel like you're gonna hurt somebody's feelings. It might be your girlfriend, it might be your boyfriend, it might be your brother, it might be your best friend, and a lot of times people don't take well to you saying, yo, I just need my space a little bit, or you just being kind of standoffish. But nonetheless, like I said, it's a necessity for how you're built. It's a necessity for your makeup. And this is really a necessity for the world. We living in a time right now where people don't know if they coming or going. So, and because that's because they go from one phone call to the other, one person to the other, one conversation to the other, one obligation to the other, and constantly tell themselves, I have to do this. So that become your soundtrack, and you can find yourself exhausted. And furthermore than just being exhausted, just find yourself being grumpy and short-tempered, not being able to just focus as good as you would when you do have that time to decompress and to sort things out and to do introspection. Because it's very important that we take the time out, like I always say, take the time out to engage with our shadow and parts that we are not familiar with ourselves, so that we could integrate the shit, you know what I mean? So we could be a more fuller, more holistic version of ourselves for real. So that we not shying away from our potential. So this shit tie into a lot of those things for real. And just think about it. A lot of times when you had your rest, a lot of times when you had your workout, or you had your water, you had the things that just add to you, things that comfort you, things that challenge you, things that just, magnify your energy. When you're able to interact with those things, you're able to truly be able to give more. Because once we get drained out, especially as introverts, we get drained out fast too, because we just don't have a high level of energy to deal with people that just are naturally, I don't want to just say takers, but their energy is not reciprocal. So it's not like, sometimes when you get with a certain homie, sometimes when you get with a certain brother or a certain person, y'all create like a synergy. So you giving to them, they giving to you. It's really no take. And you find that those conversations are the conversations you build on. Those are the conversations and the times spent with that person that you feel most like yourself. And those are clear signals to engage with those energies rather than engaging with the energies that deplete you. But like I said, it's a war. But it's a war worth fighting. And you start to be able to find clever ways to fight this war without it actually being combative, without feeling like you stepping on somebody's toes or you making somebody feel bad and shit like that. But at the end of the day, you have an obligation, because you have a certain level of awareness. It gives you a certain level of responsibility to be the one to take the step back, to be the one to set the boundary, to be the one to step away and get back into a balanced state. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a real pull, because you got the world pulling on you, or telling you who you should be, who you ought to be. You got people that look at you and for you to be a certain way, to be a certain version of yourself. And a lot of times we outgrow those versions. A lot of times we move on from them versions of ourselves that people expect us to be, but still we fall victim to the pressure of showing up in that way. And we all do it, you know what I mean? Sometimes you want to say no and you really say yeah. And that's another example of us just giving our energy away. That's another example of us having poor boundaries. That's another example of us not nurturing and catering to ourselves. And here's the thing though, if we don't do that for ourselves, can we truly do it for another? Like really, real shit. Like if you ain't able to take time out for yourself, if you ain't able to nurture on yourself and love on yourself, how you really going to truly do that for another person? And then on the flip side, a lot of people that don't do the people that you deal with that don't have time for themselves, that don't take 5-10 minutes out for themselves to just love on themselves and just get whatever they need to recharge them and energize them, those people can't accept no love from you no how, because they're not able to give it to themselves. So how could they accept what they can't give to themselves, basically? It take one to know one. Like they say, real recognize real. So when I see somebody that's introverted and I could tell I know how to step back. I know not to be on people's toes. I know people need their space at some point, even if they're not aware of it. You feel what I'm saying? And this makes for more balanced relationships. This makes for better business relationships. And this makes for just a more solid person for you to be able to be like, all right, like I feel like this, I'm gonna back off. Or not even have to say it. Just find your exit. Just find your exit. But what happened is we'll just run on E for a long time. We'll say yeah 1,000 times when we meant to say no 999 times ago. And then we start to become mad at that person. They become the target. They become the reason. And that's a real cop-out, to be honest with you. No, it's not him. No, it's not her. No, it's not it. It's your lack of being able to engage with these things, people, and places in a healthy and balanced way because of your fear of disappointing someone, because of your fear of missing out on the opportunity and things like that. Because whatever gonna hit you ain't gonna miss you. If it's gonna be an opportunity for you, you're gonna get it. And then on the flip side, maybe you're not, depending on how your antennas is raised. A lot of times we miss out on what's right in front of our face because we depleted. So it's like a double-edged sword, man. And like I said, it's a responsibility that you can't put on those that are extroverted, those that are constantly out and about, those that love to live in that realm. You can't put that obligation on them. You can't put that responsibility on them. Us as introverts, we got to be the ones to look in the mirror. We got to be the ones to do the self-reflection. We got to be the ones to hold space, to be able to bring a new vibe to the world, bring a new frequency to the world, an original one, an authentic one. And it's hard to be yourself when you're constantly around a million people. So when you do begin to spend time with yourself, especially long periods of time, especially when you're able to face the silence, you feel me? Face your thoughts, face your feelings, just facing them, just sitting with them. That's what meditation is. Just sit with it. You don't have to have your eyes closed. You don't have to be in a lotus pose. You don't have to have incense burning. You don't gotta do none of that shit. Just sit there and feel it. And we all have a tendency to grab for advice. You know what I mean? All have a tendency to just numb out and get our favorite show going on, get our favorite drink or our favorite candy or whatever the case may be, or call that favorite person and just kind of forget about ourselves. But when we do, and when we're finally able to be courageous and face ourselves, right? When we're finally able to face that horrifying moment and continuously step into those moments and be brave and just face ourselves, because it takes a lot of courage to just sit with yourself, to just be with yourself. When we finally able to do that, we find that we become more sensitive to our own energy, and we're able to feel our own signature. And then we become sensitive to others' energy. So now we could tell what's for us and what's not for us. Now we could tell when our intuition is speaking rather than our left brain and us rationalizing shit and trying to override our true feelings. A lot of times we get the urges. We know that person ain't for us. We know that person don't know how to stop. We know that person don't have no limits, and we still go on and on and on. And we know that person is not truly making space for us. But we will continue to interact in this empty way. We'll continue to give these empty gestures, because that's what they truly are. Because whatever you're not willing to give yourself, you cannot truly give to somebody else. When you do give it to them, when you do give them that time, when you do give them that conversation, you're giving it to them in resentment. You're giving it to them in regret. It got a stain on it. And those of us that, do take that time and are able to engage with our own energy, we see right through that shit. And that's why a lot of us just become loners, and interact a little bit less, because we know a lot of shit just tainted. A lot of things are just not real. A lot of things come with strings attached to them energetically. You can't just accept certain things from certain people because they truly don't have it to give. And they could be millionaires and trillionaires. They just still might not have it to give. Because, like I said, it's not coming from a genuine place. A lot of people be big on self-love. Yeah, and self-love is the gateway to unconditional love. There's levels to love. I'm starting to understand that. There's levels to love. And love is a very vague word, but it embodies a lot of shit. It embodies It embody everything. It embody a lot of pain. But what I found through love is that it really start with patience. It really start with the uncomfortable. It really start with confrontation. Most of the people that became my best friends and became and jumped in the field and we went to war together was people that I had misunderstandings with and was about to go to war we was about to go to war with each other. You know what I mean? And because we passed that boundary of just, keeping it real about how we feel with each other, we able to stand side by side. A lot of people in the name of love, don't want to hurt nobody. Don't want to disappoint nobody. So it's like you stand next to a person, you lying next to a person, but you really truly regret and resent them. And that's an unhealthy thing that I learned through experience. And I'm starting to be able to see it more and more in the world. And then a lot of it stem back to not just being able to go your separate way and get the time that you need for yourself so that you can understand who you are, what you need at any given time. A lot of us that are introverts living in this extroverted world, living in this social world, we fear to speak up and say what we need. You feel me? We fear to speak up and say we tired. And that's disempowering. That's not making us a good channel for the universe. That's not making us a good channel for what we actually want to do, what our dreams are, the things that we want to see come into fruition, because we constantly giving it away. We constantly making ourselves busy. We constantly blaming other people for things that we need to take control of. And it's a fight. It really is. It's a fight within yourself first and foremost. And sometimes it's a fight with just the people that even really truly might feel that they love you and they might truly love you. But you want to make sure they love a real, authentic version of you. And you're not going to be able to show up as that authentic, original version of you unless you're giving yourself the things that you need, unless you're giving yourself that time, that energy, that patience. A lot of times we so patient with other people. We so giving to other people. We so doing all this for other people, but we so critical on ourselves though. We so hard on ourselves. And that's because when you sit down to get to know ourselves, to understand our own tendencies, to be like, all right, I know I got the tendency to be an asshole. I know I got a tendency to be grumpy once I get to a certain limit, so let me just, you know what I mean? But we'll give that courtesy to another person. And like I said, we're giving it from an empty space. And it's just one of the hard truths that you come to learn on this path, on this journey, to discovering what's already there. Discovering your soul.